So I roofied myself in college. Yes, I willingly gave myself the date rape drug, but it was consensual. I got the pills from my older brother Andy, a drug dealer, who handed it to me one day while I was doing laundry at my parents' house. He was incredibly generous like that before he got arrested for drug dealing. I took it one Thursday evening when I didn't have early classes and asked my friend Luba to keep me company. I was curious, but more importantly, I was incredibly stupid. I woke up the next morning covered in dirt, naked, and lying sideways on my bed. Luba, who did not have a fun night, filled me in on the details. Despite valiant efforts on her part, I refused to stay in my room and shed my clothing as I raced around campus, finally stopping when I became fascinated with grabbing the electric sheep fence at the University of Maryland's agricultural department. Luba, with some help, herded me back to the dorms. She also mentioned the secret I confessed. I told her that I liked guys, which was news to her because I had dated her best friend Vicky for over a year through high school and up until a few years before. Oh, that's an interesting thing to have said, because I had never said this out loud before or done anything, even kissing with another guy. Damn the person who slipped me that pill. Oh, wait, I did this to myself. I asked her please not to tell anyone, and definitely not my on and off again girlfriend Vicky. I had always been terrified of acknowledging my secret out loud. It was the mid-90s, but I'd never met a gay man like me. Someone who looked like me, dressed like me, was into the same alternative acts like Cracker, the Afghan Wigs, and the Ass Ponies, just like me, who seemed like a regular guy. We had an LGBT club at my high school, but that was for the guys who used to go trick-or-treating dressed as their favorite Disney princess. More power to them, but I didn't see myself in any of them. I was lonely and terrified. I told myself I had a kink or a fetish, or that I had a low sex drive, or maybe suffering from impotence. That was it. I was a great straight boyfriend, outside of the secretly liking guys thing. I could talk for hours, and I never pressured a girl to do anything that she didn't demand out of pure frustration. Really, Susan, I don't think we should go to third base. I think hear your parents pulling. Oh, they're in France? Well, shit. Breasts were fun, but more like silly putty or a fidget than anything that held real sexual attraction. It wasn't until years later that I understood going on a date and being unable to focus on anything besides what he looked like naked. Luba kept my secret, but my subconscious started to shout at me. This was before the days when you could just get on an app and meet up anonymously, so I did some soft probing. I took a gay and lesbian class under the guise of being an ally. I listened to my teacher passionately explain that we can prove Emily Dickinson and Willa Cather were lovers if we dive into their writing. And yeah, I guess they were, but I really didn't care about the long-distance romance of two long-dead lesbians. I just wanted to get laid by a guy for the first time. I pondered my disappointing classmates. There were the hot bi guys in long-term relationships with girls. Lots of women who were in the class for the right reason and probably getting a lot of action. The guy with the pink hair and a miniskirt, and Nathan. Nathan was the first approachable gay guy I met, and I tried to be friends with him, but he was so other. He was Wiccan with long, spindly hands that crept and moved when he spoke like two menacing spiders. And he was so outwardly, aggressively gay as a challenge, while I just wanted to blend in. Still, though, he was somebody I could bounce unspoken things off of and ask my questions. Nathan would rant about how oppressive and homophobic the University of Maryland was. Why yesterday, one of his boyfriends was shoving his hands down Nathan's pants in the dining hall, and they were asked to stop. And when Nathan loudly protested that this was only because they were gay, they were told to take it outside. I didn't understand Nathan, but he was a fascinating window into a world I never thought I would touch. After all, he had sex with another boy, and that part of him made him seem almost like a hero to me. I wondered if I would become just like him. Would thrusting my hands down the pants of another boy in public seem like a legitimate protest, or just lewd behavior from two horny co-eds? Opportunity never presented itself. I envied all those guys who had those secret sleepover encounters or who became intimate with a fellow Boy Scout. I would have been thrilled if a man had just jumped out of a bush one day, opened his trench coat, and said, "Here's my penis, gut it down." I almost met up with some guy from an America Online male-for-male chat room, but I chickened out. And he never called our family's landline to follow up. I was 16, and looking back, he probably wasn't. I put a free message on a hotline another time explaining my curiosity and that I was 18, and was greeted by terrifying messages from experienced daddies offering to train me. It all changed with a dream I had. It wasn't too complicated, and I don't remember specifics, but there was this guy in a ski hat who looked like a handsome skater, and we were just holding each other. It wasn't the content of the dream itself, but the emotion, the closeness. I felt so fulfilled with this simple intimacy, and I woke up feeling emptier and lonelier than I had in my life. Was I ever going to have that kind of closeness with another man? I knew that I needed that first experience before I could imagine something like a relationship, so I doubled down. I found a forum where they said men hang out in a certain library bathroom, but after 20 minutes, I felt stupid and wondered how I would even initiate that. "Hi there, sir. Are you just here to pee or poop, or is something else on your mind?" I discovered an on-campus support group where I listened to people share poems about their feelings. I kept returning, hoping somebody would walk in and who looked more like me. And after 3 weeks, I spotted AJ, and I knew. We shared gazes and eye rolls across the room as someone emoted how Madonna was their spirit animal. I got his number and invited him over to watch a movie. 4 rooms. I can tell you literally nothing about this movie beyond the title, and that it scored 13% on Rotten Tomatoes. We were so awkward and terrified. I offered him a drink, his first. Then we smoked pot, also his first time. And we finally kissed, and repressed homosexuality took over, tearing off jeans and tearing through boxer shirts. And although I'm Jewish, I'm pretty sure this is what Christmas morning felt like. I friend-zoned AJ pretty quickly because although not flamboyant, he was incredibly boring. And a few weeks later, I met Mark at the same group, and this was the real thing. Italian with big brown eyes, muscles, and masculine. He was this embodiment of an ideal I always fantasized about, and I fell hard. One night at a club, he started chatting up a guy named Chris and suggested we bring him back to my place. Sure, that would be fun, I guess, if that's what you really want. I wanted to, and definitely not you all to myself without him. We went home that night and did our thing on the mismatched linens I pilfered from my parents' house. Afterwards, Chris continued to be a presence in our lives. It soon became very clear that Mark wanted Chris, Chris wanted Mark, and Chris wanted me, and all I wanted was Mark. I was frustrated and just wanted something as simple as I had with my long-term girlfriend. Sure, sexually it wasn't there, but we would talk all night and I felt a real connection. Eventually, Mark told me that they were too much alike and we couldn't be together anymore. It was like someone ripped away this new world where I could imagine connecting with a guy. I felt better years later when I read a column in a local paper where he declared, "I know 2 things to be true. 1, that there is nothing wrong with a man wanting to be with another man. And 2, every fetus has a right to be born." Dodged a bullet there. I moved on to these one-off hookups with guys, half of which I was barely attracted to and felt dirty. I didn't want to be a slut. I just wanted to connect to somebody. I envy those guys who seem like they flung the closet door open and instantly found their place. But maybe this was because they never fit in anywhere else. But where was my place? I thought about my ex-girlfriend, Vicky. We were still friends, and I missed the closeness we shared. We were both writers and used to swap poetry while we talked all night. At one point, I felt like we were soulmates. Sexually, it wasn't fulfilling, but it wasn't all about the intimacy, right? I could think about guys. Maybe I could give this one more shot. I had given gay a full year, and I was miserable. I was living on campus, and over the summer, I invited Vicky over for a drink. I was going to maybe confess that I still loved her and wanted to try again if she was willing. Deep down, I knew that this was probably the wrong decision, but I was searching for some kind of normalcy. I was going to let the universe decide. Either we were getting back, or I was never going back. We shared a drink, shot the shit, and she told me that she had exciting news. She was dating a guy, and it was going really well, and they were even discussing moving in together. Oh, that's great. I am so happy for you. I like guys too.